There is an attempt on Jamie and Marion's lives at the end of Drive Away Dolls. In the movie, which centers on a disastrous road trip involving Jamie and Marion, the two learn what's inside the strange bag. After discovering 4 plaster molds, one of which belonged to Senator Channel of Florida, which shocked Jamie and Marion at first, they are abducted by Arliss, Flint, and the Chief, who had been pursuing them since they left Philadelphia. Marion and Jamie are stuck together as they listen in on an argument about a job gone wrong between Arliss, Flint, and the Chief. Flint takes shots at the Chief and Arliss. Jamie and Marion had time to escape thanks to the diversion. They call the senator to arrange a deal as they flee. When Senator Channel arrives at the bar with a sack full of cash, Jamie and Marion swap the suitcase with the plaster castings. After leaving, the senator tries to shoot the two, but is stopped by Jamie's ex-girlfriend Suki. The senator is imprisoned, and the public learns of the suitcase controversy. Jamie subsequently discloses that she cast further plaster replicas of the senators, which they inadvertently leave behind at the hotel. By accident, Jamie and Marion left the bag containing the new plaster castings at the hotel. The bellhop now has them. Even though Senator Channel's attempt to shoot Jamie and Marion landed him in jail and exposed his scandal, the incident will always haunt him because the castings are still there in some way. The senator had high hopes of running for president, but these developments will probably prevent him from achieving any of his political objectives. Senator Channel will always be humiliated, and now that the plaster cast of his is in the possession of an unknown individual, it will likely stay in circulation and possibly end up in the collection of an art dealer. He will also have no control over it. The senator's reputation has been severely damaged by the fact that he was also caught attempting to kill 2 women in public. It is unclear how long he will be behind bars for this crime. At the conclusion of Ethan Coen's Drive Away Dolls, Jamie and Marion have made the decision to advance their romance. Marion and Jamie no longer want to be friends, nor do they want to be friends with benefits after having an affair almost dying together. Instead, the two decide to commit to their marriage and take their relationship more seriously. This is a big step up for Jamie, who had only recently broken up with Susie after having an affair with another woman. The pair planned to travel to Massachusetts, where gay marriage was then permitted, after seeing Marion's aunt. By the time the movie ends, it's obvious that Marion and Jamie are in love with one another, and that their personalities work well together. It makes reasonable that they would wish to wed, especially in light of their recent experiences and extended friendship. Given how close their lives had come to an end, Jamie and Marion probably didn't want to waste any more time on other people, especially since their relationship had turned amorous at this point. Following their experience with Drive Away Dolls, it made sense for them to get married and start a family. Senator Channel was undoubtedly concerned that Jamie and Marion would become liabilities, even though he managed to collect the luggage that contained a plaster casting. They may use the fact that they knew the contents of the suitcase to their advantage, though they wouldn't after obtaining what they desired. The senator's concern of Jamie producing more plaster castings was probably the driving force behind Channel's attempt to shoot Marion and her, but Channel's resentment at being taken advantage of was more potent. Senator Channel found himself in an uncontrollable predicament throughout the exchange as Marion and Jamie exerted authority over him. He didn't like that at all, and it's probable that he wasn't even slightly concerned about the damage to his reputation or the possibility that news would spread about his plaster casting when he pointed the gun at them. Senator Channel's attempt to murder Jamie and Marion was practically a realization of his own worst nightmare. All might have been okay if he had left the scene with the suitcase. Flint was one of the 2 goons sent by the chief to get the luggage back for Senator Channel. However, Arliss repeatedly shoved Flint around during Drive Away Dolls and incessantly teased and badgered him. Flint has had enough of being made to feel inferior and pushed around by the time he and Arliss abduct Jamie and Marion. Flint's rage drove him to murder the chief and Arliss in order to get revenge for their mistreatment, regardless of the impact it had on their ability to carry out their duties for the senator. While Drive Away Dolls may not seem like a film that would have a direct sequel, the fact that Jamie's extra plaster castings were left behind at the conclusion suggests that Drive Away Dolls 2 might explore what happens to them later and with whom. Aside from a straight sequel, Ethan Coen is working on a lesbian B-movie trilogy that started with Drive Away Dolls and will end with Honey Don't, another road trip film that is presently in production. Margaret Qualley plays the lead in Honey Don't, and it looks like she'll be portraying a different role. The movie is probably not going to be a straight sequel to Drive Away Dolls, but rather a spiritual one. Even if Huntington won't be focused on Jamie and Marion's next life experience, it's probable that it may somewhat carry on the theme of drive-away dolls. There are a number of main themes in drive-away dolls, but none are as significant as the lesson of following the flow. Marion felt like she was stuck in the movie, not really able to go forward since she was frightened to step outside of her comfort zone and waiting for anything important. Marion looked to have been harmed more by her previous relationship than she was ready to acknowledge, but after confiding in Jamie, she was able to accept her feelings and her sexuality completely. Marion was in many ways holding herself back in Drive-Away Dolls, but she was able to let go and embrace whatever came her way because of Jamie and the potentially fatal predicament they were in. Marion only required encouragement, and her bond with Jamie in particular allowed her to open up to the aspects of herself that she had bottled up for a while.